Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashilakaya Chakshurum Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpataruvesha Kripa Sindhuvya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Hare Krishna. Yes. Anyone remembers what we discussed last class? Yes, just a little bit of.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah.
Last class we discussed from the class number 3.
Okay.
Where this class all the Brahmanas who are present in the Jagdopaya places, and also there are cards and counter cards from both the sides.
Okay, so we were discussing about how there were curses and counter curses. Yes.
He also gives some example like Sringi as a little boy or young boy, being with understanding the position of the king and how all of the Brahman Samaj started from that particular point. Yeah, also you give some example like.
Okay, so this point we were discussing that Shringi cursed Parikshit Maharaj and the entire class of Brahmanas, they lost their power. Why they lost their power?
Because King Parikshit was not an ordinary king. He was protected by Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna during the Parikshit prayer when he was the womb of her mother Uttara.
Okay.
So he was not an ordinary king. He was his name was Vishnu protected Parikshit. Okay. So with understanding the position and the quality of the king, that Singhi, the little boy, a young boy, cursed Parikshit. So that was not right.
Okay, so this is one thing, it was not right. And second thing we were discussing, another reason we were discussing, what was the wrong in part of Sringi? Yes, anyone else remembers? One more point. This is a correct point. Definitely one more point, if one remembers. Yes. Your voice is very, very bad. Not coming out.
अभी ठीक है?
Very good.
Okay. So spiritual power जो है वो actually spiritual growth के लिए है. ये वैष्णव offense भी हो गया because Parikshit Maharaj is a devoted soul जो कृष्ण. तो वो जो power है वो misuse हो गया एक वैष्णव के प्रति offense करके.
Okay.
तो वहाँ से fall शुरू होता है.
Okay, power misuse हुआ. Okay. One more point. What was the mistake of Shringi? What mistake Shringi did? Yes, Selja Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Prabhuji, he did not, without knowing the reason he cursed, without thinking what was it.
Okay, quite close, but yes, Pavan Krishna Prabhu.
He cursed just to show his prowess that I can also curse. I also have the power. I am also Brahmana.
Okay, very good. I am having power just to curse. Okay, but just one thing all of you are missing. One small thing. What was the mistake? Definitely, all these are perfectly correct. One thing we discussed.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandra Pranam.
Yes.
First case, Parishit Maharaj was protected by Lord Krishna himself.
No, that is spoken. That is spoken already by Ajay Prabhu. Yes, Vijay Prabhu is raising hand. One thing.
The biggest proper characteristic of Brahmana is to tolerate, which Shringi Muni was not doing it. The Brahmana is supposed to tolerate, should not react on a particular platform very easily.
Okay. So quite close. Little more. Almost done. So Shringi. Who is speaking?
प्रभु जी आपने बताया था कि वो श्रृंगी और ब्राह्मण लोग एक दूसरे को कार्स कर रहे थे, लेकिन इसमें किसी का कुछ भी चेंज नहीं हो रहा था. लाइक दे आर लाइक स्नैचिंग देयर जस्टिस, एक दूसरे को बस कार्स कर रहे थे. लेकिन मतलब इसमें ऐसा नहीं है कि किसी का कुछ अच्छा हो गया था, बुरा हो गया था, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो रहा था.
Okay, that's good point. But one thing. Okay. Somehow I don't know how all of you missed this point. Yes, Sabyasachi Prabhu and then Nidhi Mataji. And then Vijay Prabhu. Yeah.
Sometimes uncontrolled mind creates arrogance and superiority complex, which might have one of the reason of cursing.
Okay. It's an uncontrolled mind. Okay, that's a good point. Yes. Vijay Prabhu and then Nidhi Mataji.
To use the power to understand how we can serve.
How he can? Okay. No. Okay, so let me tell the answer. I think all of you missed. So Nidhi Mataji is very desperate to speak something. She's desperate to speak.
Whenever there is a fight like this of ego and respect, you should always go to a higher authority.
Okay, very good.
So he should have thought. He should have probably.
So when both of you fight as husband and wife, where do you go?
Mother-in-law.
Oh, very good. Good, great. Okay, very good. Mother-in-law is higher authority. So in that way, all of you are telling correct, but you missed one point, that the punishment or anger should be shown proportionately. Shringi's mistake was he showed disproportionate anger. Disproportionate. Like I remember one of my cousin sister. You know how the kids do a little bit of tantrums in house, and my cousin sister at one point of time was so disturbed by my sister's son would be my nephew, right, Bhanja. So my cousin sister took his hand and put it in the gas stove. Can you imagine? And then the entire hand was burnt, and then she realized what she did. and then we had to apply Vernol, and then it was such a panic situation. She was in her in-laws, I was in her mother's father's house, my Mausiji's daughter, my cousin sister. So the punishment has to be proportionate. Definitely Parikshit Maharaj did some mistake, but if you give disproportionate punishment, then it becomes and especially when you have power. When you have no power, then your punishment also has no power. But when we have power, we have to be very, very careful. We have to be very careful in ensuring that whether my punishment and my verdict is having justice or not, is fair or not. So Sringi gave disproportionate punishment to Parikshit Maharaj. Just because Parikshit Maharaj put a garland of snake on Samik Rishi, his father, Shringi's father, Shringi cursed him to death. Can you imagine? Similarly, just because Daksha cursed certain things, Nandishwar cursed the entire Brahmanas to become useless, begging only for filling their belly, and so much of curses happened. So the entire atmosphere became surcharged with curses and counter curses, and they were cursing and counter cursing, and all those things happened, but mostly it was very, very disproportionate, right? This is first thing. And second thing, as Nidhi Mataji said, we also discussed that they never referred to any higher authority. They never, like Nidhi Mataji refers to mother-in-law. I don't know mother-in-law which side she takes. She takes your side or your husband's side, but some higher authorities, actually Brahma was personally present in front of Brahma. Such a big fight was happening, just imagine, and they were not referring to Brahma at all. So this is one thing we elaborately discussed. And then we discussed about Brahmanas, how Brahmanas became like this because of this curse, because Brahmanas supported the offense to Lord Shiva. So this is something. And in the end, we were discussing a very important point about how to actually, what is real respect, or what is the real service that we can do to spiritual master. Like Nandiswar is becoming so aggressive that his spiritual master is offended and he wants to do some service. But what's the real service that we can do? We were discussing elaborately for almost a bit of time, almost 15 minutes, 20 minutes we discussed. One by one we will discuss again. Yes, Salja Mataji, then Nidhi Mataji, and who else have raised hands?
We elaborately how we should take the words of the spiritual master as life and soul.
Okay, so we were discussing that we should take the words of spiritual master as life and soul. Okay, this is one thing we discussed. Yes, Nidhi Mataji.
प्रभु जी, हमें अपने स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर का गुणगान करना चाहिए, उनकी अच्छाई बतानी चाहिए कि why he is
okay, उनकी गुणगान करना चाहिए. Okay, you're not catching the real point what we discussed. Quite close. Yes, something else. Anything else we discussed?
We should not aim for bodily support. Rather, we should aim for spirituality, progress, and spread spirituality that way.
Okay, we should definitely aim for spirituality, but how do we? Okay, we discussed some other points. I think all of you missed it out. Yes, anyone else? I think all of you missed it out. Yes. We will do some revision like this, otherwise it's becoming छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, नए दौर से लिखेंगे हम मिलके नई कहानी, हम हिंदुस्तानी. Yeah, what we discussed. Anyone else would like to speak?
I think Prabhuji, it was that yes, Kali Yuga means Kali means it's fighting and quarreling among each other. And if every Yuga Bhagavan comes as the avatar, and Kali Yuga, we should focus how to follow the path of the Lord Chaitanya to bring peace in the universe.
Very good. One very nice Haribol for Ajay Prabhu. He has really told. Yeah. So we have, if we really want to, that was the essential point that we discussed for almost 15 minutes in the end of our discussion. That if we really want to get rid of the evil effects of Kali, you remember we discussed one small part of the song. Kali Kukura Kadan Jadi Cha, and we were discussing about how dog mentality in Kali Yuga, there is so much of quarrel, there is so much of hypocrisy, and if we want to get rid of it, we need to follow Lord Chaitanya's movement, Lord Chaitanya's advice. And what is Lord Chaitanya's movement? My goodness. Lord Chaitanya's movement? Yes, Sunita Mataji.
To serve Lord Krishna.
To serve Lord Krishna, yes, but what is more specific? How to serve Lord Krishna? To chant the holy name. Yes, Parul Mataji is telling. To chant, to do Sankirtan, and to help and assist Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in performing and spreading Sankirtan. So if we do that, that is the best service we can do to Lord Chaitanya and spiritual master, then we will not quarrel. Then all this cursing, counter cursing, that is the best service we can render by taking responsibility in performing Sankirtan in our lives, in our family, and also spreading it all across the world. If you really want to serve the spiritual master, if you really are grateful to spiritual master, we should take responsibility of spreading Sankirtan. And when we take that responsibility of spreading Sankirtan in whatever way we can, some people can spread Sankirtan with thousands and thousands of people. Some people can spread Sankirtan in their own family or little far away. But we should take responsibility in spreading Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, because he is the Yuga avatar. How many of you want the mercy of Krishna? Please raise hands. Oh, very good. We are all here to wanting the mercy of Krishna, and the mercy of Krishna is available only by serving Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Yuga avatar comes to deliver the mercy of Lord. The purpose of Yuga avatar, there are varieties of purpose of the Yuga avatar. To establish the Yuga Dharma, this is one purpose. Second, to help people of that age connect with the Supreme Lord, connect with Dharma. So third, to again invite people of the age back to spiritual world. So in this way, there are varieties of reasons why Yuga avatar comes, but by pleasing Yuga avatar, we get an access to the mercy of the Supreme Lord in that age. So Lord Chaitanya is the Yuga avatar, and most amazingly, Lord Chaitanya is the most compassionate of all the avatars. Right? So you do little bit in Lord Chaitanya's movement, then you are over awarded. In corporate, you do so much, you are always under awarded, or maybe not awarded at all. But in Lord Chaitanya's movement, you do little bit. So we should always, this idea should hunt our mind. You know, hunting, How many of you know hunting? Okay. Hunting, you know hunting? Shikar, shikar, shikar. You have seen deers in the forest. They are very restless while taking grass because they know the tiger is always looking at them and trying to hunt them. So similarly, we should always be hunted by this idea that how I should contribute and spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should be thinking, oh, what I should do, what I should do, what I am doing, what I am doing, what I am doing for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And some 20-30 years of Kali Yuga is remaining. If we really help Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this very life itself, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will take us back home, back to Sri Vrindavan Dham. So that is why instead of trying to curse, counter curse, become angry, become this, become that, the real service we can render to spiritual master is to participate in the Sankirtan movement of the Lord. So we should all try to see that how I am becoming a member, assisting member in the movement of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, we should every week write this week what are my goals for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so we will start today, and in this way, when the cursing and counter cursing happened, as we saw last week, that Lord Shiva left the assembly, and along with Lord Shiva, many of all his followers left. Daksha had already left. So the Brahmanas who were remaining, they continued the yajna. So this shows that yajna to Vishnu should continue on every at every situation, at every circumstance. It should never stop. So then the yajna was over, and this in the third chapter, this is about the second chapter getting over. The third chapter, it begins with Maitreya Muni telling to Vidura, in this way the dissension, the quarrel, the friction between father-in-law and the son-in-law continued for a very long time. And Daksha conducted many sacrifices, and he was not inviting Lord Shiva at all. He did very big sacrifices, Bhajapeya and something, all the names are mentioned. So big sacrifices were performed, but in none of the sacrifice Lord Shiva was invited. So then Maitreya Muni is speaking about one specific sacrifice which was very big, really big. It was like again an extremely big sacrifice arranged by Daksha. And when such a sacrifice was happening, Lord Shiva was not invited. So we will see what is the condition of Mother Sati. So Mother Sati is feeling very bad that she is not being invited. So we will read the so now Mother Sati is coming and explaining this verse. Okay, so all of you repeat after me. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. This is 4th canto, chapter 3, talks between Lord Shiva and Sati, and this is verse number 8. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Satya Uvacha.
Satya Uvacha.
Prajapateste swasurasya sampratam.
प्रजापतिस्ते श्वशुरस्य साम्प्रतम्
Niryapito yagya mahotsavah kila.
निर्यापितो यज्ञमहोत्सवखिला
Vayam cha tatra visharama bhamate.
वयं च तत्र विसरामते
Yadarthitami vibudha brajantihi.
यदा यद्यातितामि विबुधा व्रजन्तिः.
Yeah, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sati said, "My dear Lord Shiva, your father-in-law is now executing great sacrifices, and all the demigods have been invited by him, are going there. If you desire, we may also go." Purport. Sati knew of the tension between her father and her husband, but still she expressed to her husband, Lord Shiva, that since such sacrifices were going on at her father's house and so many demigods were going, she also desired to go. But she could not express her willingness directly. So she told her husband that if he desired to go, then she could also accompany him. In other words, she submitted her desire very politely to her husband. Hare Krishna. So big sacrifice is happening, and Sati is feeling that we must go. In previous to these verses, this verse that we discussed, we'll just read the translation. What Mother Sati is seeing. Daksha began a sacrifice named Bhajapeya, and he became excessively confident of his support by Lord Brahma. He then performed another great sacrifice named Brihaspati Sabha. While the sacrifice Brihaspati Sabha was being performed, many Brahma Rishis, great sages, ancestral demigods, and other demigods, their wives, all very nicely decorated with ornaments, attended from different parts of the universe. The chaste lady Sati, the daughter of Daksha, heard the heavenly denizens flying in the sky, conversing about the great sacrifice being performed by her father. When she saw that from all directions the beautiful wives of the heavenly denizens, their eyes very beautifully glittering, were near her residence and were going to the sacrifice, dressed in fine clothing and ornamented with earrings and necklaces with lockets, she approached her husband, the master of the bhutas. In great anxiety, she spoke as follows. So this is how this verse has come, that so many, it's like an event, cosmological event is happening, and everyone is decorated nicely, everyone is nice perfume, and everyone is putting all ornaments with a lot of foundation and mascara and beautifully decorated with nice garments. And Sati is looking, she's also going, she's also going, she's also going. And Daksha didn't even send an invitation card also. There was no email, there was no WhatsApp, there was no formal invitation card. But imagine we are having a very big program in Dasosmi family, and everyone is going, and Sri Nitai Das is saying, "Where you are going?" "Oh, it's a big festival in Dasosmi family and I am not invited." Hare Krishna. So in great anxiety, Sri Nitai Das is speaking to Pavan Krishna Das. So in this way, Daksha's daughter Sati is extremely anxious, and she is going to, uh, um, she has gone to Lord Shiva and speaking her heart, trying to communicate her heart. So we will learn how to communicate politely your inner desires. So this is what we are going to learn, how Mother Sati communicated Lord Shiva. See, it's not an easy thing, because as this purport said, Mother Sati knew very well that there is a friction. It's not that Sati was not aware. She was aware that there is a friction between her father and her husband, but still she wants to go. So how carefully, politely she is communicating. So we will learn how to, we will learn today 5 principles of communication. How to communicate politely, how to persuade. Because ultimately you see, here Sati is communicating for something else, but we need to persuade Krishna. We need to politely communicate with Krishna. We can see our life that we also have got a created a relationship issue or a friction with Krishna, right? We all are having a friction with the Supreme Lord, and we need to communicate politely with Krishna that, oh Krishna, please give your mercy to me. So we will learn from Mother Sati's conversation with Lord Shiva how to politely communicate your point. Sometimes we are like, kortei hobe, we have to, you have to, like, putting the wife puts the, Sati didn't put the knife on Lord Shiva and said, chalo, let's move. So I know that none of you ladies are doing like this, but Sati didn't do like that. Sati actually politely, so nicely communicates, and we will see what all principles forms the basis of polite communication. Okay, so the first principle is explained in verse 9 and 10. We will first discuss 9 and 10. Tasmin bhaginyo mama bhratribhi swake.
Tasmin bhagenyo mama bhartibhi swake.
Dhruvam gamishyanti suhrudi dikshava.
Dhruvam gamishyanti suhrudi dikshava.
Aham cha tasmin bhavatabhikamaye.
Aham cha tasmin bhavatabhikamaye.
Saho panitam paribharma arhitum.
Saha uparnitam paribarham arhitum.
Yeah. Translation and purport. I think that all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you to participate in that assembly. Yes. Can anyone read the purport? Yes, anyone? Vijay Prabhu? Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hari Bol, can anyone read the purport?
Yes.
Ah.
The woman.
Okay, Santanu Prabhu is reading. Read.
It is a woman's nature to want to decorate herself ornaments and nice dresses and accompany her husband to social functions, meet friends and relatives, and enjoy life in that way. This propensity is not unusual for women is the basic principle for material enjoyment. Therefore, in Sanskrit, the word for woman is Stri, which means one who expands the field of material enjoyment. In the material world, there is an attraction between woman and man. This is the arrangement of conditional life. A woman attracts a man, and in that way, the scope of material activities involving house, wealth, children, and friendship increases, and thus, instead of decreasing one's material demands, one becomes entangled in material enjoyment. Lord Shiva, however, is different. Therefore, his name is Shiva. He is not at all attracted by material enjoyment. Although his wife Sati was the daughter of a very great leader and was given to him by the request of Brahma, Lord Shiva was reluctant, but Sati, Lord Shiva was
Yeah. Read.
Okay. Lord Shiva was reluctant, but Sati, as a woman, the daughter of a king, wanted enjoyment. She wanted to go to her father's house, just as other sisters might have done, and meet them and enjoy social life. Here, she specifically indicated that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her father. She did not say that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her husband, because her husband was callous about all such matters. He did not know how to decorate his wife and take part in social life because he was always in ecstasy with the thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic system, a daughter is given a sufficient dowry at the time of her marriage, and therefore Sati was also given a dowry by her father, and ornaments were included. It is also the custom that the husband gives some ornaments, but here it is particularly mentioned that her husband, being materially almost nothing, could not do so. Therefore, she wanted to decorate herself with the ornaments given by her father. It was fortunate for Sati that Lord Shiva did not take the ornaments from his wife and spend them for ganja, because those who imitate Lord Shiva in smoking ganja exploit everything from household affairs. They take all of their wives' property and spend on smoking, intoxication, and other similar activities.
Hare Krishna. I don't know. I have not seen those people who take wives' ornaments and sell them to drink ganja, but because Srila Prabhupada mentions those category of people do exist, maybe. But we see here how Lord Shiva is completely oblivious of anything, whether he is being invited to any social function or not, whether Sati has ornaments or not, whether he is dressed or not, what is happening, he is completely oblivious. And Sati is so much desiring for material enjoyment. But the first principle, can anyone guess what is the principle here after reading the purport and translation? Can anyone guess? What is the principle? Okay. Okay.
She was very tolerant behavior of her husband. You know, he is not inclined to material things. She has accepted that way. While she herself was very
much inclined to good. Very good. This is the beginning of the point that she was tolerant. Sati had accepted that my husband is like this. My husband is callous about any social function and material enjoyment. But what next? What next? Yes, Santanu Prabhu.
She was honest to tell her purpose.
Very good, very good. So one big Hari Bol for Santanu Prabhu. So Sati. So the first principle is Sati knew that Lord Shiva is callous. So Sati was not showing that how callous I am also. Correct? Sati was extremely honest to clarify her honest desires to enjoy. So you are able to see Sati's behavior and Diti's behavior, how it is different. Sati is having desire, Diti is also having desire. Sati is also communicating, Diti is also communicating, but Sati is communicating honestly. She is clarifying her desires very, very honestly. There is no ambiguity what she wants. It's not that Sati is telling, oh, you know, I am actually very, very detached like you, and I also I'm very detached, but what can be done? You know, there are some things as a we have to set the right example. Yad yad acharati shrestha, Bhagavad Gita says. Yes, we need to set the right example as a grihastha. Otherwise, there will be preaching later on, and in Dasosmi family, people will take our example and they will not go to any social function. We will ruin the entire society. We should set the right example. Sati didn't say that she wants to set the right example of Grihastha ashram. That's why she wants to go. She clearly said, I want to enjoy. I want to meet my sisters. I want to see the flags and I want to see the ceremonies. I want to see the sacrifice. I want to wear ornaments. So the first principle is clarify with honesty. So honesty is the best policy in communication, especially when we are communicating with our well-wishers, near and dear ones. If we really want trust to flourish in a relationship, we need to clarify with honesty. We cannot show something which we are not, just like Diti did, and that's why Kashyap Muni actually lost trust and faith on Diti for temporarily, momentarily. And then we also saw that story. But the first principle is clarify with honesty exactly what you really want without trying to cover up and trying to show yourself. So though Sati knew that her husband is callous, she clearly expressed with clarity, with honesty, her desire. So this is the first principle. And this verse also speaks the same principle. The next verse, 10th verse. Yeah, anyone can read the translation? Yeah.
My sisters, my mother's sisters, and their husbands and other affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them, and I shall be able to see the flapping flags and the performance of the sacrifice by the great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I am very much anxious to go.
Okay, I don't know what's so great about seeing the flapping flags. But there is something about it. I don't know how many of you really love to go see. Wearing ornaments I can understand, and decorating oneself and going and showing to your sister, just see how I am looking like this, and this I can understand. But flapping flags and all, I am not able to relate. But maybe it may be looking very beautiful there. So Sati is wanting to see the scenery, beauty of the flags, beauty of the sacrifices, the sages speaking about different mantras, and so she expressed very clearly. So this is the first principle, that is clarify with honesty. And then the second principle, we'll see the verse number 11. Okay. त्वयि एतदाश्चर्यमजात्ममायया विनिर्मितं भाति गुणात्रयात्मकम्.
विनिर्मितं भाति गुणात्रयात्मकम्.
Tathapyaham yosi datatva
तथाप्यहं योऽसि अतात्वविच्यते
Dina dridrikshe bhavame bhavakshitim.
Dina didikshe bhavame bhavakshite.
Yeah, translation. Yes, can anyone read the translation? Yeah, anyone else?
This manifested cosmos is a wonderful creation of the interaction of the three material modes, or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. This truth is fully known to you. Yet I am but a poor woman, and as you know, I am not conversant with the truth. Therefore, I wish to see my birthplace once more.
Yeah. So the second principle is Sati is telling that you are so detached, you are so glorious, but I am not. So C is having the second principle, courage to express one's own limitations. Sometimes while communicating, we always try to brag about our strength, especially when we are communicating with friends and we're communicating some request. So, but we see here, Sati is clearly having the courage to express her limitations. She is not bragging about herself. She is having the courage that I am attached actually. You are callous about material enjoyment. You don't care for whether going for a social function or not. But actually, I am very affected and I really want to enjoy. I really want to go. So she is having the courage. And that's a very important aspect in communicating our proposal or persuading our proposal or politely communicating. We need to have the courage to accept our limitations. We cannot show how great we are, and by accepting our proposal, you will be favored. Right? We should not, the wife should not go to the husband or husband going to the wife and saying, if you do service, you will be glorious. Only Krishna can say like this. Only Krishna can say that by serving me, you will be glorious. But we should always have the courage to express our limitations. And Sati is very, very honest in courageous to express her limitations nicely. Similarly, when we are requesting Krishna, communicating with Krishna, so these first two principles are very important. First, we need to clarify and have the courage to express our limitations. We should not go to Krishna, oh Krishna, I did so much of service to you, I did this, I did that, I did this. We should go to Krishna begging, oh Krishna, I am such a fallen soul. You have seen how the acharyas have sung in the prayers? Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rata. Oh my Lord, my whole life is always engrossed in doing sinful activities. I am such a fallen soul. So one should have courage to express one's limitations, one's shortcomings in front of Krishna. And then Krishna's mercy will flow in our lives. Krishna's blessings will flow in our lives. We should never brag ourselves in front of Krishna. Krishna, just like you have seen, sometimes people go, मैंने आपके लिए इतना कुछ किया भगवान, इतना सेवा किया, इतना माला किया, यही किया आपने मेरे साथ. You have seen people, I have seen people coming to temple. People telling, I chanted so much, I did so much of service, and this is what Krishna did with me. Just like, who was doing like this? You remember? We have already discussed that section. Who was doing like this? Who was complaining like this? Anyone remembers? We have already discussed one person who was complaining like this. Previous. Yes. One person was complaining like this. Who was complaining? Who was complaining to Providence? Who was complaining to God? Oh, yes, Pavan Krishna Prabhu.
South Brahmana from South India who came to Puri asking Lord Jagannath for wealth.
Okay, Lord South Indian Brahmana we discussed in Lord Chaitanya's pastime. Who made Vibhishan? Okay, he was complaining. But in Bhagavatam we had discussed one personality. Okay, scratch your head, scratch your head. Who was complaining? Who was complaining? This is what you did. Scratch. Oh, simple answer. So there is the wife of Chitraketu Maharaj. You remember Kritadviti? How she was complaining? You remember Kritadviti? I don't know how many of you have heard the Chitraketu Maharaj story. So Chitraketu Maharaj's wife, when Chitraketu Maharaj's son passed away, his wife was shouting, "Oh Providence, this is what you did." Right? So similarly, actually we are having shortcoming, we are suffering our own karma, we complain to the Lord. Oh Lord, just see, people say you are so compassionate, this is what you have done to me. So Sati is not complaining to Lord Shiva, "Arey, the duty of husband is to provide everything to the wife, you have not given any ornament, and now I am wanting to wear the ornament of my father and go somewhere and you are not allowing." What nonsense, what type of husband you are, sitting and doing nothing. I don't know, if you get it's very good, it's very nice to see from a far distance having a husband like Lord Shiva. But just imagine the situation of Sati. It's very nice. Oh, nice to Lord Shiva is my husband. That was the only satisfaction of Sati, nothing else. Lord Shiva is my husband. And nothing else Lord Shiva would give. Not even a house. No ornaments. The ornaments are also borrowed from the father-in-law. And when Sati will ask to talk, Lord Shiva will open eyes and Lord Shiva will speak about Krishna and then close his eyes and again go into meditation. That is the only discussion. Nothing like washing machine ले सकते हैं क्या, फ्रिज खरीदने कैसे होगा, आज मैं कुछ आपके लिए बना दूं क्या, अब मैंने जो बनाया आपको कैसा लगा. Looks very nice to have husband like Lord Shiva, but we need to actually become qualified. So similarly, looks very nice from far distance to go to spiritual world, to go to Vrindavan Dham, to be with Krishna. Now this is Lord Shiva, so how detached would be Lord Krishna? Just imagine. Lord Krishna is hardly bothered about anything. If you do not give him love, even if you offer the best of the items, he is completely callous. Just like I remember when Lord Krishna goes in peace mission to Hastinapur. So Duryodhan says to Dusashan that, "Dusashan, of all the palaces in Hastinapur, your palace is the best of the palace. So immediately vacant, make your palace vacant, you move to some other palace and your palace will be the staying residence of Keshav." Lord Krishna would come, we will offer your palace to him and he will be so pleased that he will come to our side and not go to the side of the Pandavas. Hare Krishna. That was Duryodhana's plan and he made all elaborate arrangements. So when Krishna reached, he went to meet Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana was sitting by the side. And then Duryodhana said, "Oh Keshav, we have arranged Dusashan's palace, very beautiful palace, everything for you, nice items to enjoy." And Krishna said, कि Duryodhan, two people want to enjoy. One who are in need of something. Second, who are wanting to please their friends. And as far as you are concerned, you are not my friend because you are against the Pandavas. And as far as I am concerned, I am not in need of anything. So that is why I'll not go to your Dusasan's palace. I would better go to Vidura's palace, which is a small place, but because there is love there, I would go there. So just imagine how callous is Lord Krishna. This is Lord Shiva, but we are trying to make a relationship with Lord Krishna, and how callous is Lord Krishna to all the material objects. Lord Krishna simply wants love. And how we should be always careful in understanding this fact. So Sati understood Lord Shiva. It's very nice to have Lord Shiva as husband, Lord Krishna as husband, Lord Krishna as our friend, but we must understand who is Lord Krishna, who is Lord Shiva. They're completely detached from anything material of this world. So if we want to please them, we can only please them by extremely spiritual substances, and especially love. Okay, so this is the second principle, that we need to have the courage to express our shortcomings. Oh Krishna, I do not have love for you. We should never say, oh Krishna, I have so much of love. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to say that, devotees, I do not have any love. So how we can have any love if Lord Chaitanya didn't have any love? So this is the second principle. Is everyone getting the second principle? Okay, very good. Third principle of communicating. Pashya prayantir abhavanya yosito. Yes, anyone? Pyalang krita kanta sakha baruthasa. Yasham brajadvir siti kantha manditam. Nabho bimane kalaham sa panduvi. O never one, O blue-throated one, not only my relatives, but also other women dressed in nice clothes and decorated with ornaments are going there with their husbands and friends. Just see how their flocks of white airplanes have made the entire sky very beautiful. Okay, but here a very important point is, O blue-throated one, Neelakantha. Okay, somewhere some sound is coming. Please mute all of you. Okay, so O blue-throated one, Neelakantha. Why Sati is addressing Lord Shiva as Neelakantha? What is so special about Neelakantha?
Prabhu, he drank the halal poison which nobody could have done. Okay. Nobody has got the capability to do that. Okay, and what was the reason he drank halal? Samudra Manthan, Prabhuji.
What was the reason? Reason for drinking?
To please Hari.
To please?
To please Hari.
Okay, to
Hari,
please
Krishna.
Hari. Okay, to please Hari. Or what was the reason? What?
And
Very good. Okay, anyone? Tell.
Help others.
help others. He was extremely compassionate. He was merciful to all the demigods. The demigods were feeling greatly distressed. So Sati is telling, you are so compassionate to all people, to all the demigods, right? Everyone you are so compassionate, but you are not compassionate to your own wife. Demigods came and submitted one request. Immediately you drank poison. I am not telling you to drink poison. Huh? Just see how nicely she is making a point, so convincing, so logical. Am I telling you, Lord Shiva, to drink poison? Huh? Tell. The demigods came and told you to drink poison, you just drank poison. And as a wife, I am just telling, chalo thoda ghar ghum ke aaye. But that's it. And you are not keeping my request. You are so compassionate to demigods and you are not compassionate to your own wife. So this is how the third principle is to invoke the compassion of Krishna by speaking these type of words, that how gentle, how compassionate he was. And that is how you will find many of our acharyas, while speaking the prayers to Krishna, while reciting the prayers, they would say, oh Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you delivered the Jagai and Madhai, you delivered so many demons, you gave Putana such a big position, correct? So you are so compassionate, please be compassionate to Sri Nitai Das also. So this is the third principle, that is invoking the compassionate nature, the gentle nature of Krishna while communicating with Krishna or while persuading or praying to Krishna. So this is the third principle. Third or fourth? I don't remember. And third? Third, okay. So this is the third principle, and then we'll see the next. Katham sutaya pitrigeha kautukam. Yeah.
Katham sutaya pitrigehi kautukam
Nisamya deha suravarya ningate.
Nisamya deha suravarya ningate
Anahuta apyabhihanti saurudam.
Anahuta apyabhihanti saurudam
Bhartur guru deha kritascha ketanam. Yes, read the translation.
O best of the demigods, how can the body of a daughter remain undisturbed when she hears that some festive event is taking place in her father's house? Even though you may be considering that I have not been invited, there is no harm if one goes to the house of one's friend's husband, spiritual master, or father without invitation.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So I'm not a daughter, so I cannot really figure it out. But all of you daughters can say, how do you feel? Oh, my father is having such a big celebration and she has not called me. I'm not going. What will happen? What will happen? So like this Sati was feeling and okay, invitation is not given. But even if invitation is not given, because I am having some connection, invitation is not required, right? I am having friend को कोई बुलाता है क्या? Friend तो ऐसे ही घुस जाता है. The friend goes like that. The daughter goes like that. What invitation will be given to a daughter to go to father's house? What invitation would be given for the disciple to go to spiritual master? No invitation. Just go. So the fourth principle she is mentioning is to strike out a connection. Oh, I am your dear wife, I am like this, I am like that. So when we communicate politely, we should always strike out a connection how we are nicely related to him or her. Just like while praying to Krishna, also we strike out a connection with Krishna. Oh Krishna, I am your eternal servant. So it is your, because I am your eternal servant, that is why you should keep my request. Just like Sati is telling her connection that, okay, I know it's not necessary that we require an invitation to go to father's house. We can anyway go even if we do not have an invitation, because it's our connection, it's our relationship. So similarly, while praying to Krishna, we should also express about our eternal relationship with him. Communicating with Krishna, also we should express, oh Krishna, I'm your eternal servant. Just like Srila Prabhupada in his prayers was praying, Ami Tava Nitya Das, I am your eternal servant, but I have forgotten you by the effect of the material energy. Oh Lord, please be merciful upon me. So this is the fourth principle, to strike out a connection with whom we are communicating. And the last principle is this one. We will discuss. Okay. Tanme prasidedamartyavanchitam.
Tanme prasidam amartya vanchitam.
Kartum bhavan karunikavatarhati.
Kartum bhavan karuniko batarhati.
Tvayatmano riddheham adabhrachakshusha.
Tvayatmano hrideham adabhrachakshusha.
Nirupita manugrihana yachita.
Nirupita manugrihana yachita.
Yes, read translation.
O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request.
Yeah. So, so you have already accepted me as half of your body. Just like my right hand is committed to serve the left hand, right? Imagine my left hand gets something, or there is some big wound. So will the right hand say, no, your left hand, I will not apply antiseptic lotion to you? Will the right hand say like this? The right hand say, no, it's my part of my body. So it's my commitment to do service to the left hand. Similarly, the left hand is committed to serve the right hand. So the last principle is commitment. So Sati is expressing to Lord Shiva that how Lord Shiva is committed to always fulfill the request made by his wife Sati, and that is why he should also fulfill this request. So similarly, when we are praying to Krishna, we should also express how Krishna is always committed to serve his devotees, how Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal, how Krishna, you were committed to save Draupadi, how Krishna, you are committed to save Gajendra. Oh Krishna, you are committed to save so many living entities. So please save me also. I am also being put in a very distressful situation. So this is the fifth principle while communicating or making a polite request to someone. So the first principle we discussed is clarifying with honesty what you want. That's why when we speak to Krishna, when we pray, we clarify with great deal of honesty that, oh Krishna, I want to go to Vrindavan Dham. Amare abhilas, moroi abhilas, vilas kunje diyavas, nayane heribo, Jugalaru parasi. Yes? Will we sing like that in Tulsi Arati? No, my desires, we are very honest. Oh Krishna, I want to go to Sri Vrindavan Dham. I want to stay with you. I want to love you. I want to serve you. And the second one, second principle, we saw how Sati had the courage to accept her own limitations. So similarly, while communicating with Krishna, praying to Krishna, we should also have the courage to accept our shortcomings, our limitations. And we should not try to brag about ourselves in front of Krishna, rather have a very humble disposition. The third principle, Sati was trying to invoke the compassionate nature of Lord Shiva, how Lord Shiva is compassionate. So similarly, we should also try to glorify Krishna's compassionate nature. The fourth principle, Sati was trying to strike out a connection with Lord Shiva and trying to say that because of in relationship there is no formal invitation, and that's how we should also strike out a connection with Lord Krishna while praying. And the fifth principle is about commitment. We should always glorify Lord Krishna, that how he has been always committed to protect, to serve, and how he is known as Bhakta Vatsal. So in this way, these are the 5 principles for making a polite request. Okay, so whenever the husbands are trying to make a polite request to wife, I think if you follow these principles, I don't think there will be any quarrel in the Grihastha ashram. The husband will be so polite and the wife will be so polite in keeping these 5 principles. But mostly I thought about using these 5 principles while praying to Krishna for keeping a polite request that, oh Krishna, please accept me this time. So there is a beautiful song written by some poet, Hari hai doyal more, Jaya Radhanath. Oh Lord, please accept my request this time, that please take me back to near you this time. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? So I will give you an assignment. When all of you are discussing in the groups, you can discuss that how we can use these 5 principles in our preaching. Preaching is also a sort of a communication. Yes, we are trying to persuade someone to become a servant of Krishna, to chant Hare Krishna. So how we can use these 5 principles in preaching Krishna consciousness. So this is an assignment all of you can do in your groups. All the monitors are here. Where are, let me see, where are Udit Prabhu? I think I will put in the monitors group the questions. So all of you can discuss that how to utilize these 5 principles in communicating while preaching the message of Krishna. Okay, yes, Madhur Prabhu has some questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a very nice session. I mean, it has really answered some of the way, when I used to see any prayer, I used to wonder why it was mentioned in a particular way. But now it's very clear to us that what you should make prayer to the Krishna. Question is about Daksha. We are 2 of his different qualities. He has cursed Lord Shiva, he has cursed Narad Muni, and somewhere, he has cursed his own moon god also, who was his son-in-law. The other way, if I read 6th canto, the Hasidua prayer, I mean, he's a totally different person. I mean, I was amazed to read those kind of prayers.
Correct.
So how can a person is, he's showing so much wild fluctuation is his behavior. Is it, when you are in touch with material nature, it is bound to happen. If you are not Krishna, then everybody is bound to commit mistake. Can we understand like this, Prabhuji?
Yeah, this is one understanding what you spoke is, I will try to elaborate the question a little bit, maybe because others have not known about Hamsa Gruha prayers. In the 6th canto, Daksha is praying to Lord Krishna, correct? And he is crying, actually, tears. So this is Daksha who is crying tears while praying to Lord Krishna. I don't think any of us, while going to meet Krishna, we are crying. This is Daksha's position, and Prabhuji is asking that how can such a person who is crying in front of Krishna and praying such eloquent poetry, how can he curse Narad Muni? How can he curse Lord Shiva? How it is possible? So the first principle we have to understand is that the mind, when it is uncontrolled, can create havoc in one's life. So that is why our mind has to be very, very controlled. And the second principle is, when we are wanting to serve the Lord using material principles, there will be always these material principles affect us. So there are varieties of service to the Lord. We can serve the Lord by spiritual principles. Like you will see, there will be no competition and no problem if Selja Mataji starts chanting 64 rounds from today instead of 16 rounds. No competition. Very good, very good. And even if I compete, I will also chant 64 rounds. दिखा दूंगी मैं वो क्या समझ रखी है, अब वो खुद ही केवल चैंटिंग कर सकती है क्या. There will be no problem. But when we try to use the material principles in service of Krishna, there is a danger of competition. And that competition sometimes becomes what? Daksha fell into it. Daksha actually, if you go ahead, next week we will discuss, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Daksha's intention was to take over the position of Lord Shiva. That was Daksha's intention. It is mentioned in the purports. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning. So the point is, when we have a material principle to serve Krishna, then there is natural result is competition, and when the natural result of competition is there is anger, then there is wrong principles coming in, then there is cursing, and all those things happen. So Daksha could had a material outlook towards a spiritual service to Krishna. This is first problem of Daksha that we had already discussed elaborately. The second problem with Daksha was, he was thinking my service is the only service to the Supreme Lord. Just imagine, Hare Krishna. Narada's service is no service. Lord Shiva's service is no service. Sri Nitai's service is no service. My service is the only service. And everyone should take my example and serve Krishna in my way. Hare. So this is the second problem of Daksha, is that, like sometimes we see in ISKCON also, if someone is distributing books, he should think that everyone should distribute books, and only when they distribute books, they are doing service to Krishna. If someone is doing children class, then everyone should do children class, and if someone is not doing children class, he is useless. Someone who is preaching to Grihasthas, everyone should preach to Grihasthas. If someone is not preaching to Grihasthas, he is preaching to unmarried youths, he is useless. If someone is collecting some donations, everyone should collect donations, and if you do not collect donations and give donations to temple, you are useless. So Daksha had this mentality that my service is the best and I am the best, and everyone should either follow my service, do my service, otherwise don't do any service. If I am giving Bhagavatam class, then everyone should give Bhagavatam class or hear my class. And if someone is doing some other service, then he is useless. So this is the second problem that Daksha had. Narad Muni is also doing service, but he only could see his service to Supreme Lord. This is called Kanistha mentality. This is neophyte mentality. You are not able to see others' service, others' contribution to Krishna. Right? Everyone is contributing to Krishna. Everyone is trying to love Krishna, serve Krishna in their own capacity. Hanuman is trying to serve Krishna in his own capacity. The spider and the squirrel are serving Krishna, Lord Ramachandra in their own capacity. But Daksha had this problem, that his service is only important because he is important. So these are the two problems which made Daksha to commit such offenses. Okay. Yes, I think Selja Mataji, then Sabyasachi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Daksha.
Yes.
Prabhuji, when you were explaining about Lord Shiva and the Parvati married life, I have some question, like maybe invalid question, but it came into my mind. Why Lord Shiva was so detached, then why did he marry? First question. He should be brahmachari. And second question, like Sati is Maya Devi, and she's putting into Maya to everyone. Then how can she become? She was into Maya of material enjoyment.
Okay, good, nice, thoughtful analysis of the whole situation. So why did Lord Shiva get married? Okay, so we really need to talk with Lord Shiva. Why really got married? So the principle of marriage sometimes we think is for enjoyment, but the principle of marriage is actually to help each other to advance in Krishna consciousness. So somehow over the Vedic, there is a Vedic principle, there is a Bhagavat principle. The Vedic principle of marriage is I give you enjoyment, the wife gives enjoyment to the husband gives enjoyment to the wife. But the Bhagavat principle of marriage life is that the wife assists the husband in his service to the Supreme Lord, and the husband assists the wife in her service to the Supreme Lord. The wife doesn't become a hindrance to husband's service to the Supreme Lord, and the husband doesn't become hindrance to wife's service to Supreme Lord. And that is how in Vaikuntha also, in Golok Vrindavan also, there are husband and wife. If the married principle that is applicable in the material world is applied, then everyone should be a brahmachari in spiritual world, right? No, brahmachari means what? He has no other connection, he has only connection with Krishna. And that's what is spiritual world. And that means spiritual world should have only sannyasis. How can spiritual world have grihasthas? So that is why the Bhagavat principle of marriage or married life is to help each other in service to Krishna. But the Vedic principle or a principle of this material world of the married life is that how I can give enjoyment or how I can enjoy, what promise my married life will offer. And that's why people are so careful in choosing their life partner. And most of the criteria for choosing life partner is what promise I will get. Yes? So the lady is careful in searching for a husband who is very good in physical and monetary terms, and there is property and everything. So my life is secure. And the husband is also very careful in searching for a lady who can give, who knows nice cooking, and who can cook nicely, who can serve nicely. All my commands she is at disposal of all my commands. And if my health is not good, she is just coming and massaging my feet and speaking soft, polite words always, no matter whatever I do. So these are all principles of material world, principles of marriage. So just like the spiritual world and material world, there are perverted reflection. So every principle gets perverted in material world. So the principle of marriage is also there in spiritual world, but the principle gets perverted when it is applied in material world. So it's not that in spiritual world there is no married life, there is no grihastha ashram, but the principle gets perverted in the material realm. So Lord Shiva got married so that he can speak Krishna Katha to Sati. And Sati also got married to hear Krishna Katha from Lord Shiva. Otherwise, why Sati would marry? Tell me. It's not that Sati had no opportunities. He could have got very nice other opportunities. But she also got married to Lord Shiva for spiritual reasons only. Lord Shiva also got married to Sati for spiritual reasons only. And they would do also Krishna Katha. It's not that they would not do Krishna Katha. But the nature of the world is that generally ladies want to decorate ornaments. See, Sati's these desires are nothing wrong. She is not having any wrong desires, sinful desires. But just that's the nature. The nature of a lady is to wear ornaments, to decorate and see how she is looking. She has got a beautiful body, so she is naturally interested to decorate the body. So that is why Sati, as a by nature, as a lady, she wanted to just go and see her household things. So we will see also in spiritual personalities the natural traits available. We will see gopis also, they will also decorate because they are ladies. That's the principle. These principles will be also available in spiritual world. Ladies means they love to decorate. But the purpose of decoration is different. Why the gopis would like to decorate? So that Krishna is happy to see them. But the purpose of decoration in material world is different. So the principles are same. How the lady behaves in a material world and how the lady behaves in a spiritual world is the same. And that's why Sati is a lady, she is behaving naturally as a lady. Nowadays, ladies are behaving very unnaturally. They don't know the principles of Sringar, they don't know how to decorate, and that's why they have to go and pay huge amount of money to go to some Javed Habib or some Sehnaz Hussain and all those to decorate themselves, because they have forgotten how to decorate. But previously, the ladies were expert in decorating themselves, decorating others. And that's how the ladies is. So the natural traits of ladies, the natural traits, the feminine traits will not go away. But what is the purpose of using those feminine traits or masculine traits, right? The purpose is to serve Krishna. But now when in material world that purpose gets perverted. The purpose is to attract each other, to show off each other, to impress others, right? So as a lady, this is what it is, so we should never think why Sati is like this. No, she is a lady. Why Lord Shiva is like this? He is a man, he doesn't require ornaments, right? He doesn't have glamour for ornaments. But as a lady, he is having glamour for ornaments. Radharani has a lot of glamour for ornaments. Lalita Devi has a lot of glamour for ornaments. So this is nothing wrong. The second principle is that you asked that, okay, so why they are not brahmachari? I forgot the second question. What is the second question?
The second is also answered, Prabhu. Maya Devi is in Maya.
Okay, so second question is Sati is not, why Sati is getting affected by Maya? Sati is not getting affected by Maya. Though she is, it is her humility that she is expressing that, oh, I am a woman and all, but she is not getting affected by Maya. That is the natural trait. If someone is expressing their natural traits as a man or a woman, it's not about Maya. Maya means how you are using your natural traits in what way, what is the purpose. Okay. If someone is a singer, naturally he is a singer. So that's not Maya if he wants to sing. But for what he wants to sing, to show his singing expertise or to use his singing talents to please Krishna. So Sati as a naturally as a woman has no problem to decorate. But Sati going against the purpose of Lord Shiva is Maya. We will see how Sati actually went. We will see in the next chapter, Lord Shiva says, no, my dear wife, don't go there. And Sati, first verse of the next chapter says, Sati was looking at Lord Shiva as if she will eat Lord Shiva up, burn him with anger. Just like any other wife, when the husband says something which is unpalatable, so Sati was also looking at, but because Sati committed this mistake of not following Lord Shiva, who is a great devotee of the Lord, Sati had to commit suicide. We will see ahead. We will see. These are all discussions we will do in the next class. In the next class, we will see how Lord Shiva, he actually rejects Sati's proposal very politely. So sometimes someone is giving us a proposal and we need to disagree with that proposal. And sometimes we are very, very blunt in disagreeing. You see, nahi hoga ye, nahi jane denge tumko, बैठो इधर चुपचाप. So Lord Shiva is not bluntly rejecting the proposal. Very politely, Lord Shiva rejects Sati's proposal to go, and we will see next class how to communicate disagreements politely. So that will be the next portion, how Lord Shiva politely disagreed with Mother Sati's proposal to go to Daksha's house. So we will, and how next class we will see how the wife is wife, and wife behaves so nicely with everyone, but with husband, the wife is really the real color of the wife is seen with the husband. So the husband knows. And how Sati actually burnt. Sati was so angry that Sukadeva Goswami says Sati will burn Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva burns the entire universe when he becomes angry, and Sati was trying to burn Lord Shiva, and she left. So we will see that next class. Okay, that's natural.
Yes, okay.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
So we should not try to think that if we become a devotee of Krishna, if we go to spiritual world, we'll have to become like stone, we'll have to become like brahmachari, the wives will not behave like wives, the husband will not behave like husband. So whatever you see in material world is available in spiritual world in pure form. So if the wives are shouting at husbands, so in spiritual world also wives shout at husband. But for what purpose? In material world, the wife will shout at the husband, why did you get an ornament? In spiritual world, the wife will shout at husband, why did you not do the service properly to Krishna? So like that. So but this wife-husband relationship remains the same. That is how the natural traits are there. Okay, I don't think our ladies would be shouting at husbands, but just they're very nice, sober ladies, and I don't think our husband would be doing anything wrong. They're good. But as you see the husband-wife relationship in material world, they exist in the same way in spiritual world, but with a purpose to serve Krishna. Just like the wife is so much having expectations from the husband, and the husband is having so much of expectations from the wife, everything remains the same, only the purpose is to serve Krishna. Okay, so we do not have to have a very different picture of the spiritual world. Spiritual world is simply a perverted reflection. If something is there in material world, it's there in spiritual world. If in material world the ladies are loving to decorate themselves, in spiritual world also ladies love to decorate themselves, but the purpose is different. Okay, Hare Krishna.